think some big surprise is coming.
The rally, anything can happen. It's the kind of roads that I enjoy.
Welcome to the World Rally Raid Championship 2023. This year's action takes us from the sands of Saudi Arabia to the dunes of Morocco via Abu Dhabi, Mexico and Argentina. Sit back as we bring you all of the best that Rally Raid has to offer, the standout moments of what has been a spectacular season. Sam Sunderland dominated the 2022 season in the bikes, winning the Dakar and the W2RC, but things can change fast in Rally Raid.
It takes 10,000 kilometers to win one, and you can lose everything in 5 meters.
Just 52 kilometres into the defence of his Dakar title, Sunderland crashed out, and that would set the tone for a forgettable 2023. The British star missed Abu Dhabi through injury, crashed out of Sonora and then withdrew from Ruta 40 and the Rally to Morocco due to illness. That #1 plate hasn't been good to him. Well, Sunderland's Gas factory teammate Daniel Sanders fared a little better despite a long injury layoff before the Dakar. The Australian took victory on stage 3 and battled through illness to finish 7th overall. He's also had injury issues this year, but managed to take his first overall win in Rally Raid at Sonora.
Really excited to finally get my first win in rally. It's been a long time and I had a lot of bad luck, so finally got to celebrate the first win, and it's really good for the Red Bull Gas team that we got a win, so yeah.
Mason Klein had a brilliant first week at the Dakar, taking his first stage win and staying within touching distance of the leaders. But a heavy crash on stage 9 took him out of the game.
During the stage, not gonna lie, I started crying one time, just like started thinking about I'm done.
The American eventually withdrew before stage 13, then ended up leaving the Bass World KTM team over the summer. Last year's Rally 2 champion only managed one finish this season in Mexico. Luciano Benavides lost a bit of time at the start of the Dakar, but he clawed his way back to finish in 6th place overall. The Argentine also notched 3 stage wins for the Husqvarna factory team, more than any other rider.
It's amazing to have my 3rd stage win in the same Dakar. Is something really incredible, and yeah, can be more and more happy with this result.
In many ways, Luciano's season was only just getting started, but more on that later.
The place is so beautiful. This is one of my favorite stages. Favorite day on a motorcycle by far. So much fun.
Skylar House began the season alongside Luciano at Husqvarna and quickly emerged as one of the front runners at the Dakar, seizing the overall lead on stage 5. Despite a few spills here and there, he was still very much in the mix, heading into the business end of the rally. Victory at the Dakar, the biggest event in Rally Raid, ended up being a 3-way battle between Howes, Kevin Benavides and Toby Price.
We're so close to the finish now, you don't really want to risk too much. We'll see what happens, it's really close.
I think a battle all the way to the finish line, which I'm excited for.
The plan is full gas.
Howes led for 6 of the 14 stages, but he came unstuck at the last. A couple of strategic decisions backfiring for the American, who had to be content, and he was content, with 3rd place overall.
How could I be anything but happy? I mean, this has come down to the absolute wire, and you can always look back and say, ah man, maybe I could have saved this here and here, but we arrived here to the finish safely, and I'm on the podium.
Price snatched the lead on stage 12 and led Kevin Benavides by just 12 seconds going into the final day. However, a couple of missed waypoints came at a heavy price for Toby and ended his hopes of a third Bedouin trophy.
Hard to take at the moment, but yeah, look, at the end of the day, I'm going home in one piece, and yeah, we've got a Dakar trophy, so it's yeah, not all lost, but for sure, yeah, it hurts a little bit.
Instead, it was Kevin Benavides celebrating his second Dakar triumph with a second different factory team, Honda in 2021, KTM in 2023. The Argentine striking late with the final two-stage victories to beat Price by just 43 seconds, the smallest winning margin in history. What an incredible Dakar. It was super hard. I don't know, every day was harder than the last, but I was always consistent. I got into every stage in the top 10, I fought hard, and now here I am.
A huge and warm welcome to Kevin Benavides, your round 1 winner.
Well, sadly, Kevin wasn't able to build on that victory in the W2RC, with badly timed injuries keeping him out of Abu Dhabi, Argentina and Morocco. But he did check in to see how his younger brother Luciano was getting on in the championship. Skylar Howes also struggled to kick on after the Dakar, crashing out as the defending champion in both Mexico and Morocco. The American changed teams just before the season finale, trading Husqvarna for Honda. But his first official outing in red certainly didn't go as planned as he crashed out on the prologue. Still, the Monster Energy Honda team once again showed their strength in depth by topping the manufacturer's standings. Their top performer this season was Adrian van Beveren, who finished 5th at the Dakar before claiming overall victory at the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge. The Frenchman is one of the top sand specialists out there, which is a useful skill in this part of the world. He surfed his way over the dunes in style to win by more than 4 minutes from Luciano Benavides.
It's crazy, you are riding alone all day, pushing as hell, risking your life, giving all, and the only reason why is that.
With 2 rounds to go, the Frenchman was very much a part of the title race, but a couple of weaker showings in Argentina and Morocco meant that he had to settle for 3rd place in the championship. Still, that's a second straight W2RC podium and shows he's on the right path.
I was a little less strong on the last race and made me a little bit away from the title, but I'm still dreaming about it and I will come back.
Two of the other Honda riders, Nacho Cornejo and Pablo Quintanilla, had rather frustrating seasons. Not bad, but not quite where they wanted to be. Cornejo didn't quite find his groove at the Dakar, but he did manage to claim the stage 12 honours, more out of pride than anything else, as he put it. The Chilean continued in the same vein, remaining fairly consistent, but without getting up near the sharp end of the standings. And he wasn't always helped by the new bonus system that favours the openers. Cornejo finishing the season without a podium and coming 6th in the W2RC. Quintanilla did fare a little better, but 5th in the W2RC isn't really high enough for a man of his ambitions. He avoided any major trouble at the Dakar and finished 4th, and he was right up there until the penultimate stage of the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge. He trailed Van Beveren by just 43 seconds when his bike gave up the ghost in the dunes. This would be the only retirement of Quintanilla's season. It was just unlucky that it came when he was fighting for the overall win. Pablo dusted himself off and finished on a high note though. He was 3rd in Morocco on the new Honda and looks to have found a bit of form ahead of Dakar 2024. Ricky Brabeck has been known to say that anything less than victory is unacceptable, but he admits that when the level of competition is this high, success can't be taken for granted. The American made a good start at the Dakar by winning stage 1, but he then unfortunately had a crash on stage 3. It was Ricky's first Dakar retirement since 2019, ending his hopes of a second title after 2020. Well, Brabeck took his best result of the season in Argentina, 3rd overall, but he had to withdraw from the Rally to Maroc due to bike failure and also had some issues with the bonuses. All that explains why last season's W2RC runner-up finished 9th in the championship. Ross Branch ended up having a pretty successful season, but things didn't go to plan at the Dakar. The Kalahari Ferrari won 2 stages in the second week, but by then he was out of the running overall. Because the Hero team had a nightmare 4th stage, Joaquim Rodriguez broke his leg, while Branch and Sebastian Buhler both ran out of fuel.
I guess that's another Dakar that we've got to tick off, and we've just got to go back and work harder for next year.
Well, the man from Botswana bounced back very nicely with a string of top 5 finishes, earning him 4th place overall in the W2RC. He was also happy to get a stage win in Morocco, saying it was the perfect way to get ready for the next Dakar.
We needed this before Dakar, for sure. We needed a stage win at this race where everybody's here, and just shows us where we are with the level that we're at the moment.
Matthias Wagner also suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune in 2023. The Austrian had an early crash at the Dakar, which meant he wasn't at 100%, and another spill on the penultimate day meant he was forced to abandon. The eventual winner, Kevin Benavides, attending to his teammate Wagner, who didn't return until the Sonora rally. Well, that was actually the only rally that he ended up completing this year. He sacrificed himself to help Toby Price's title bid in Argentina and then crashed out here in Morocco. Like Sam Sunderland, he'll be looking forward to starting again with a clean slate in 2024. But before thinking about next year, let's see how the 2023 title fight played out. This was the 2-man tussle for the W2RC crown, Luciano Benavides versus Toby Price. Price boasted a slender lead of just 7 points after the 3rd round in Mexico, but the Aussie had a disaster on stage 2 of Ruta 40, breaking his rear shock absorber. Even if Wagner stopped to help, Price lost over an hour and finished the rally down in 8th place.
Disappointing with the championship. Pretty sure the chances are very, very, very slim at the moment, but we'll keep going.
Price's loss was Luciano's gain, with the rally winner Tosha Shurena not taking part in the W2RC. Second place Benavides pocketed maximum points. The Argentine even got to open on the road to his home city Salta after winning stage 4.
Now I'm the leader in the World Championship, so it's really nice the feeling, and now I will try to enjoy and keep this moment for Morocco and try to fight for the world title.
And so to Morocco for the final showdown, and anybody who thought it was already over clearly doesn't know much about Toby Price. He threw absolutely everything he had at Luciano in this final round, claiming the overall victory, but it wasn't quite enough. For the second time this season, he lost out to a Benavides by the skin of his teeth.
It is what it is. We're happy we're here. Boys did a good job on my bike, the mechanics and everything. So yeah, can't thank them enough, and we'll get ready for another one.
So take a bow, Luciano Benavides, World Rally Raid champion in the bikes. The 28-year-old held his nerve throughout a long and arduous season, winning a host of stages and showcasing his immense talent in every round. If 2022 was the year that Luciano came of age, 2023 was the year that he showed he's the real deal.
Dreams come true, finally. It's been an amazing year for me to finish like this, battling the last day with Toby. yeah, I can feel more and more happy than right now. It's really amazing feeling.
Benavides taking the title with exactly 100 points, just 4 more than poor old Price. Van Beveren rounds out the podium ahead of Branch and Quintanilla. Honda just about held off KTM to win the manufacturer's title by 8 points. There were no shortage of contenders for the Rally 2 crown, and among the favourites was Bradley Cox, who came third last year. However, the South African made a miserable start to the season, crashing out on the very first stage of the Dakar.
Yeah, it was a broken June, quite a big one, and yeah, I go off the end, and on impact I break the elbow, so my Dakar is done.
That injury unfortunately prevented Cox from fighting for the title, but he rounded out the campaign on a high note with successive victories at W2RC and the Rally du Maroc. He finished the season 4th in the W2RC. It was a breakout season for Jean-Loup Le Pont, nicknamed The Flash. The young Frenchman has followed in the footsteps of his father Frédéric and impressed as the top W2RC finisher in Abu Dhabi. He was third in the championship and won the junior world title, so he's definitely a man to keep an eye on. Paolo Lucci led the championship after finishing on the W2RC podium at the Dakar, Abu Dhabi and Sonora, but the Italian's challenge faded after a nasty crash in Argentina. Wearing the same number 46 as a certain Valentino Rossi, Lucci impressed for the Bass World KTM racing team. He was also on the podium in Morocco as he came second in Rally 2. But the title went to last year's runner-up, Romain Dumontier. The Frenchman showed himself to be a cut above his rivals, starting as he meant to go on with a brilliant showing at the Dakar. He was right up there with the Rally GP guys, coming 5th, 6th and 7th on stages in the second week and ending up 17th overall. Dumontier decided to skip Abu Dhabi, but he finished on the podium everywhere else, taking a second victory in Mexico. That consistency helped him secure the title by 17 points from Lucci.
It was a goal for the year. I went each round on the podium with 2 wins, always consistent, so I think it was the key for this title.
Victory for Dumontier then. Jacob Argybright, who only took points at the Dakar and Sonora, rounded out the top 5. The Rally 3 class is for budding riders who are new to the sport of rally raid. Sherif Jacquemin was given a leg up in Morocco as part of the Africa Rally team, the Senegalese rider enjoying a stylish debut as he took the Rally 3 honours. But the overall title went to Ardit Kurtai, who did all 3 rounds in Rally 3, Mexico, Argentina and Morocco. The Albanian, who grew up in Austria, took a fine victory in Argentina, and he was all smiles when he crossed the finish line at the Rally du Maroc. Watch out for him at Dakar 2024.
Great feeling to make the whole World Rally Raid Championship and to finish here in Morocco. It's crazy. It was hard, but yes, I did it and I'm really happy about it.
Kurtai winning by a handsome margin from Alexander Chupurko, with Jacquemin and Massimo Kumuri sharing 3rd place. Switching from 2 wheels to 4 with the quads. And there was another intense battle at the Dakar. Even if the top 2 overall, Alexandre Giroux and Francisco Moreno, didn't enter the W2RC. Top spot in the World Championship therefore went to Pablo Copetti, who claimed his 3rd podium at the world's toughest rally. That was his only finish this year. It was a similar story for Abdulaziz Akhli, enjoying a rumble here with Laisvidas Kancias on the sands of the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge. After retiring from his maiden Dakar, the Emirati dominated his home event, winning 4 out of 5 stages to take his 3rd successive Abu Dhabi crown. Like Capeti, Akhli only finished 1 round, but he proved that he is an absolute demon over the dunes.
3rd win in a row. Very proud to hold my country flag very high. I hope I've made everyone proud and happy.
It was a season of ups and downs for Manuel Andújar, the winner of Dakar 2021. The Argentine lost significant time in the first week of this year's Dakar, struggling in these rocks. He eventually had to withdraw on stage 11 due to mechanical failure. But he hit back on home soil at Ruta 40, enjoying a barnstorming battle with Moreno. Andújar won 3 stages and the overall, and again, it was his only finish of the campaign. The top 3 in the championship showed a bit more consistency. Juraj Varga came 3rd after grabbing 3 podiums. The Slovakian's best showing was in Morocco, where he was the top W2RC finisher. Rodolfo Guiglioli overcame the sizable handicap of not doing the Dakar to finish as runner-up in the quads. The Guatemalan was the 2nd place W2RC rider in Mexico, Argentina and Morocco. That was enough to put him a couple of points ahead of Varga. But the title went to Laisvidas Kancias, even if the Lithuanian didn't have a very auspicious start to the season at the Dakar.
Technical problems.
He did eventually get going again, winning 2 stages and coming 3rd at the Dakar among W2RC riders. And better was to follow. 2nd place in Abu Dhabi and victory at the Sonora Rally enabled Kancias to extend his championship lead. He saw out a busy season with a solid performance in Morocco and cut a delighted, if exhausted, figure at the finish line.
It was not easy, but I am here, I'm the winner, I'm very happy. Thank you, sir.
Kancias the king, thanks to some quality quadding, the top 3 some way clear of the rest. Reigning Dakar and W2RC champion Chaleco Lopez was the man to beat in T3, but the Chilean and his teammate Cristina Gutierrez had a terrifying start to their Dakar. Heavy rainfall on stage 3 led to a moment of real drama as Lopez and Gutierrez were almost washed away in these flash floods. Luckily, the trucks came to the rescue. We were very unlucky because the moment when Chaleco and I crossed was exactly the moment when the water level rose. In less than 3 minutes, the water was up to my neck. All I wanted to do was get out of the car because I was afraid I was going to be swept away by the current. I want to thank my co-driver Juan Pablo Lutrach for the risks that he took, and the trucks and Cristina. We were all terrified because the water was getting higher and higher and we were losing control. Significant time lost, thankfully no harm done. Well, even if he hit back to finish 5th at the Dakar, Chaleco's season never quite got going, or at least he didn't hit the heights of his stellar 2022. He failed to land a podium all season, coming 5th in the W2RC. Cristina had a better campaign. She also improved after that early scare at the Dakar, winning the final stage on her way to 4th overall. The Spaniard was set to round out the season in style, even if she was never really a part of the title fight. There were also some new faces in T3 this season, including João Ferreira, who did the Dakar in an X-rayed Yamaha. The Portuguese driver was slapped with heavy penalties in the first week, but showcased his potential with victory on stage 8. Ferreira went on to land top 6 W2RC finishes in Abu Dhabi, Mexico and Argentina. In terms of pure speed, Mitch Guthrie was the Dakar's top dog in his Taurus T3 Max, powering his way to no fewer than 5 stage wins on Saudi soil. But the American's overall hopes were dashed by major mechanical trouble on stage 5. He also had early problems in Abu Dhabi in spite of 2 more stage wins. That put him slightly on the back foot in terms of the championship. Seth Quintero has so far struggled to put together a clean run at the Dakar, and it was the same old story in 2023. One of the American's wheels going walkabout on stage 4 when he was leading the rally, and he would lose over an hour. Quintero kept fighting all the way, but had to be content with 2nd overall. Everyone seemed to run into problems at some point or other, except for this man, Austin Jones. Winner of the T4 class in 2022, he doubled up with a superb victory in T3. His most tenacious rival was Guillaume de Mevius, who wasn't doing the W2RC, but when the Belgian faded on stage 11, the American pounced. AJ ended up winning the Dakar by over 50 minutes from Quintero.
It's hard to put into words right now. It's all pretty crazy, but obviously we're super happy. A big shout out to the whole team. Yeah, we did it 2 years in a row.
Jones striking the first blow then, but the fun was only just getting started, and there'd be a change of championship leader at the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge. One of the rally's key moments came on the very first stage when Cristina Gutierrez ran out of fuel. Jones stopped to help out, giving her a tow to the nearest refuelling point, and the American had no regrets about being a team player.
She looked out for me during Dakar. She had my back, so I'll always have hers, and in that situation, obviously that's what we're going to do.
But that generosity had consequences. AJ didn't recover the time that he had lost helping Cristina, and that allowed Quintero to seize the early initiative. He would end up winning the rally by almost half an hour. Quintero has something of a love-hate relationship with the dunes, but even if they are hot, slow and treacherous in his words, he always seems to do well in them. The American winning the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge and stealing the championship lead from Jones by just a couple of points.
Great week for the points in the championship, took over the overall lead, got the win, got a couple stage wins, so really couldn't have asked for a better week.
Now with German giants Audi only coming to the Dakar and Morocco, Matthias Ekstrom decided to get some extra kilometres in with the South Racing Can-Am team. He did Abu Dhabi, Mexico and Argentina. There were highs and lows with stage wins and mechanical mishaps, but ultimately the Swede was happy to keep building his experience as he looks to keep up with his Audi teammates, the Rally Raid legends Stefan Petterhansel and Carlos Sainz.
I'm lacking 15 years probably to the guys in the front, so if you do everything the same and drive little, you will never catch it up. So I take all the driving I can.
They say that 2's company and 3's a crowd, but Mitch Guthrie didn't care as he decided to crash the All-American title fight. With back-to-back wins in Mexico and Argentina, he moved ahead of Jones and Quintero with further stage victories, helping him to overturn the deficit.
Just consistency for sure is the key. Every day we stayed smooth, never really got out of the car, had flat tires or anything like that, and just kind of kept the car moving and kept a great pace for sure. So overall, just keeping the car moving all day long and staying fast paced, of course.
Things shaping up very nicely indeed then in this 3-horse race for T3 glory. Although Quintero felt that his chances were over on the penultimate stage of Ruta 40 after suffering a damaged intercooler. He finished down in 8th place, dropping to 3rd in the season standings behind Guthrie and Jones before heading to Morocco.
We're kind of speechless, to be honest. Kind of knocked us out of the championship. We're in a big fight with 3 wide, ready to go for the last round, hoping to get to the last round, but after this I'm not too sure we're that much in the fight anymore.
Well, Cristina Gutierrez had never really been in that fight, but continued her late season revival with second place at W2RC. She would also finish on the podium in Morocco, ending the season 4th in the W2RC. But when the T3s rocked up in Morocco, all eyes were on the 3 title contenders: Jones, Quintero, Guthrie. In the end, it was an elimination race, with mechanical issues at the Rally to Morocco coming at a heavy price indeed. Jones broke a trailing arm on stage 4, which sent him tumbling down the standings, and he finished 3rd in the championship. Despite his late season surge, Guthrie also fell just short. The Red Bull Off-Road Junior team drivers had exceptional pace throughout this season, but he was let down by his car at a number of crucial moments. In Morocco, it was engine problems on stage 3. Guthrie waving goodbye to his title chances. Those losses were Quintero's gain. The 21-year-old survived a 20-minute penalty for losing his spare wheels and brought his Can-Am home in 2nd place overall. That was enough to conquer the W2RC title by just 5 points.
When we came to this last round, I think like 12 points down, like, that's it, we're going for it. And we never looked back, and I don't know how much we won by, but we won. We almost won the rally too, so that would have been awesome, but God dang, does it feel good.
The 3 Americans separated by just 11 points in the final reckoning, followed by Gutierrez and Lopez. There was a new kid on the block in the T4s, 18-year-old Eric Gokczał, who made history on his very first day at the Dakar, the Polish starlet becoming the rally's youngest stage winner of all time. He took the honours again on stage 4 and, more importantly, kept himself in the hunt for overall victory. Eric is the son of Marek Gokczał, who's been making a name for himself in recent years. The family dream is to lock out the Dakar podium, along with Marek's younger brother Michał. Marek also won a couple of stages in the first week. Well, he was only 4.5 minutes off the pace on the rest day. Rodrigo Lupi de Oliveira also made a good start, snatching the overall lead from Marek Gokczał on stage 4. The Brazilian stayed top of the pile for 3 days, but then lost significant time on stage 7. Untimely mechanical problems bringing an end to his challenge. As Lupi de Oliveira faded, Rokas Baciuszka emerged as the biggest favourite to conquer the Dakar. The Lithuanian had come 3rd on his debut in 2022 before lifting the W2RC crown. Rocket Rokas snatched the overall lead before the rest day and won a total of 3 stages. He knew this was going to be a battle royale all the way to the finish line.
The fight is close and we are fighting like hell, and everyone is pushing, me too, you know, and no time to rest, just go hard or go home.
In the end, the Dakar T4 title was decided by one of the most dramatic final days in recent memory. Eric Gokczał trailed Baciuszka by 3 minutes and 24 seconds heading into the final stage, but he decided to go all in. His Lithuanian rival was also pushing hard. Eric reaching the finish line, but there was no sign of Baciuszka, and that's because disaster had struck for the Lithuanian at the worst possible moment, stuck on the stage. Eric didn't want to start celebrating too early, but it soon became clear that Baciuszka had lost it, and the Polish party could get started.
We won Dakar!
Yeah, it is like it is, but we are fighting. We will drive all the world champion, and I fight back. I fight back.
Baciuszka was true to his word and started his fight back at the very next round in Abu Dhabi. With Eric deciding to skip the W2RC season to focus on his studies, the Lithuanian was simply in a league of his own. Baciuszka won in both Abu Dhabi and Mexico, which meant that he could afford to skip Argentina and still claim the title. There was only a single W2RC entrant at Ruta 40, and that was Shinsuke Umeda. The Japanese driver did have a scare on stage 4 when he got stuck in a canyon, but managed to get going again and reach the finish line in one piece. In fact, he finished all 5 rounds this season to come second in the W2RC behind Baciuszka. Baciuszka and the Gotchaus decided to switch to the T3s in Morocco, but there was a new face in the T4s as João Ferreira went in the other direction. After trading his X-Ride Yamaha T3 for a South Racing Can-Am T4, the Portuguese driver took a solid victory in the season finale. He could well be the man to watch in this class in 2024. Baciuszka taking the title by 29 points from Umeda, with Gotchau Jr. in third, despite only doing the Dakar.
A 2-time in the row world champion is really nice and pleasure, you know, to be here because in Argentina I haven't been because it's already I have a lot of points and I don't need to go to Argentina.
At the start of the Dakar, you can practically taste the excitement in the air because at this point, everybody's still in with a chance of winning. In their second Dakar, Audi were hoping to become the first team to win with an electric powertrain prototype, and their next generation RSQ e-tron was looking sharp as Carlos Sainz won stage 1. His Formula 1 driving son, Carlos Jr., even came along to celebrate. But things went horribly wrong for the team on stage 6 as Sainz and Stefan Petterhansel both crashed on the same dune. Sainz was slapped with almost 30 hours of penalties while Mr. Dakar was out. His co-driver Edouard Boulanger couldn't continue due to a back injury. I have no memory of jumping the dune. I have no memory of losing consciousness. Audi's troubles weren't over. A spectacular crash for Sainz on stage 9. El Matador and his co-driver Lucas Cruz were fortunately okay. They even managed to get back to base that day, but they wouldn't take the start the following morning as the car was retired. In the end, Audi's top performer was the least experienced of the trio, Matthias Ekstrom, although he still had his fair share of problems. The Swede found himself stranded on stage 7 after breaking a wishbone, and even if he got some help from Sainz, he would lose a lot of time. Ekstrom ended up 14th overall, almost at 7 hours back, not the result that his team was hoping for. Well, Audi weren't the only ones to have major problems in Saudi Arabia. Local hero Yazid Al-Raji suffered a big blow to his chances on stage 6 when he ground to a halt in the dunes. Al-Raji lost over 5 hours and had to get back to the bivouac in the dark. While some drivers weren't quite living up to expectations, others were exceeding theirs. Wei Han already boasted the best Chinese finish in the cars and improved his mark to 8th place overall. He also topped the 2-wheel drive class in his SMG buggy. Han 5th best among W2RC drivers. Just ahead of him was Juan Cruz Jacopini, who was set to enjoy a breakout season with Overdrive Racing. The young Argentine, whose father Alejandro is a veteran of 9 Dakars, really showing that he has what it takes to compete at this level. He finished 7th at the Dakar, and there would be more to come as the W2RC campaign progressed. Martin Prokop has long been one of the top privateers in Rally Raid, and it really showed in 2023. As well as guiding his Ford Raptor to 6th at the Dakar, matching his best ever result, the Czech driver came 2nd at the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge. Despite skipping Mexico and Argentina, he also finished 6th in the World Rally Raid Championship. After last year's barnstorming battle, everyone was looking forward to round 2 of Sebastian Loeb versus Nasser Al-Attiyah, but the Frenchman had a disaster on stage 2 of the Dakar. He lost almost an hour and a half due to punctures, which dropped him down to 59th place overall. Day 2 and it's already dead. I couldn't have gone any more carefully than I did. It's rubbish. But giving up isn't in Loeb's nature, and he went on an absolute charge, winning no fewer than 6 successive stages in the second half of the rally. That was a historic first in the cars, breaking Ari Vatanen's record of 5 in a row from 1989. Loeb eventually hauled himself back up to 2nd place overall and finished the Dakar with a slender lead in the W2RC. But while all around him were losing their heads, or their wheels, or their suspension, or their brakes, Nasser Al-Attiyah was calmness personified. The Qatari led the Dakar by the end of stage 3 and simply continued to tighten his grip as his rivals floundered. By stage 6, he and Mathieu Baumel led by over an hour, so they could afford to ease off the gas a bit. They still picked up 3 stage victories and came home with the biggest margin of overall success since 2003, an hour and 20 minutes. This was a 5th Dakar crown for Al-Attiyah. He's the first man to go back-to-back in 6 years.
To win again, in row, it's really, it's amazing, to defend our title, I'm happy, to win 5 times. Mathieu 4 times now, and sorry Mathieu,
Well, Nasser may have been the fastest man at the Dakar, but now let's take a deep breath and slow things down. The W2RC hostilities resumed in the cars at the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge, where Al-Attiyah is a 3-time winner. But things were set to go horribly wrong for the Qatari on stage 3 when he was leading the rally, a crash which was caught on film by a spectator. And a big old crash it was too. Al-Attiyah managed to soldier back to the bivouac, but he would be forced to withdraw.
The FIA decided, to not continue because I think something damaged, in the roll cage.
Well, that was excellent news for Sebastian Loeb, whose rally had got off to a disastrous start. On stage 1, he blew a cooling hose. That meant being towed back to the bivouac and incurring over 66 hours of penalties. But with Al-Attiyah's retirement, the Frenchman suddenly had an opportunity to increase his lead in the W2RC by collecting the points on stages, and he did just that. By the end of the week, he was 16 points clear of his Qatari rival.
Nasser gave us a present with this mistake, so
we are still in the lead of the championship, so that's not bad for the future.
But the future wasn't looking bright for Loeb, and all his hard work was set to be undone at the Sonora Rally. When this happened, the BRX ProDrive Hunter ending up wedged in a ravine. Worse, co-driver Fabian Lurkan had suffered a minor shoulder fracture, so they were out. The championship momentum swinging back in Alatia's favour, and he quickly put the Frenchman firmly in his rearview mirror. Victory in Mexico catapulted him back to the top of the standings, 30 points ahead of Al Rajhi, 35 ahead of Loeb. He also earned himself, as you'll see in a moment, a rather delightful hat.
We are so happy to win this race after a big crash in Abu Dhabi, and now we are have a big lead for the championship.
By the time Argentina rolled around, Alatia had one hand on the W2RC trophy, but he still had a job to do and more hats to win, even in the absence of BRX and Loeb. The Qatari taking a comfortable win at Ruta 40 despite 5 punctures on stage 2. He and Baumel led from start to finish. Baumel securing the co-drivers world title. Nasser was still a few points short. Juan Cruz Jacopini made the most of Loeb's absence at Ruta 40 to move up to 3rd place in the W2RC. The Argentine was clearly having a blast on home soil, even grabbing his first stage win at a major rally. His family on hand to celebrate in the Toyota paddock. Loeb returned in Morocco, but Jacopini still did enough to hold on to his podium spot in the championship. He looks to have a bright future ahead of him.
It's my first year making the whole championship, and I'm competing with the best drivers of all the world, and being 3rd for me is very good.
We left Yazid Al Rajhi driving home in the dark at the Dakar, but things really improved for him as the season wore on. A few months later, he became the first Saudi to win the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge. He then grabbed podiums in Mexico and Argentina, emerging as the best of the rest behind Alatia. Al Rajhi also finished the season on a high note with another overall victory at the Rally du Maroc. When his rivals ran into trouble, he was there to pick up the pieces. The Saudi taking a richly deserved 2nd place in the W2RC.
Super happy with this season. We are always there. When anybody have mistake, we are in the podium, and we are in the win this race. That's good for us and good for our team.
But this is Nasser's world, and the rest of us are just living in it. The Qatari reigns supreme once again, conquering his 2nd consecutive crown in the World Rally Raid Championship. He could even afford to run into trouble in Morocco with 2 broken drive shafts on stage 4, dropping him down to 19th place overall. In the grand scheme of things, it mattered not, and he still finished the rally standing on the bonnet of his car as the champion.
I'm really so happy, to win the world champion. It's an amazing rally, and it's important, to win the world champion and to defend our title.
Alatia finishing 24 points clear of Al Rajhi, followed by Jacopini, Loeb and Sebastian Halpern. Toyota were in a league of their own in the manufacturers' standings, winning comfortably ahead of Mini and BRX. Finally to the trucks, and you've got to be brave to drive one of these 10-ton behemoths through the desert. There were 2 major contenders for the W2RC crown, Janus van Kasteren and Martin Matchik. They both had issues early in the Dakar, power trouble for van Kasteren, exploding tyres for Matchik, but they were separated by less than a minute on the rest day. However, Matchik's hopes of victory got stuck in the mud on stage 9, along with his Iveco Power Star, and the rescue operation would take some time. He nevertheless fought back to finish second at the Dakar. But Van Kasteren seized control of the rally on stage 10, making the most of various problems for his rivals, and he ended up winning by over an hour. He thus becomes the fourth Dutchman to conquer the Dakar, following in the footsteps of Jan de Rooij, Hans Stacey and his team boss, Gerard de Rooij.
Amazing. We dreamed about it. I dreamed about it. Unbelievable.
The trucks only returned in Morocco, where Matchik had a very slim chance of overhauling Van Kasteren in the W2RC. But he was disqualified by the FIA for the use of a non-compliant turbocharger restrictor when he had been on course to win the rally. Van Kasteren therefore cruised to the championship title, even if he had all sorts of issues at the Rally du Maroc. His company is called Boss Machinery, and Van Kasteren was definitely boss of the big machinery in 23. The Dutchman taking the W2RC title ahead of Thomas Vratny, who moved ahead of Matchik in the final round. So there you have it, another season of epic drama with dizzying highs and devastating lows. They dared to dream in Dakar, surfed the sands of Abu Dhabi, cut through the cactus in Mexico, prowled the pistes in Argentina and tasted triumph in Morocco. This was the World Rally Raid Championship 2023. See you again next year.
Can someone working alone solve all the world's biggest challenges?